This is Down the Aisle Wrestling Podcast, where we only make one promise. We will always reach for that.
Brass ring.
With Robbie Mack and Kevin Laramie. Here's Kevin Laramie. And welcome to a post-Rumble Down the Aisle Wrestling Podcast. How you doing, Rob?
I'm doing great, Kev. How you doing, buddy?
I'm great. A lot better than last night. Actually, today, throughout the day, until I watched part of Raw tonight, which we're going to talk about later in the week, I guess. But before that, I was pissed off all day today, too.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it sucked because...
A 30-year-old man pissed off about a wrestling show on a Monday night while working and serving directors of huge companies. That was my lunch today.
Do you think that... Obviously, there's nothing that you and I aren't going to be able to say about the Royal Rumble that hasn't been said by the IWC, by people on other podcasts, by people like Dave Meltzer and Wade Keller. But do you think it was worse than last year's?
Kind of, yeah. Well, the Rumble itself, the match, I thought it was probably the worst booked Rumble I've ever seen. In a Royal Rumble, you get moments that you can do this thing or that thing. There's like a branch, like a decision. It's like in a Royal Rumble, it can create a lot of multiple universes. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying, but
we didn't talk about that. Yeah,
but yeah, you can. There's always decisions you can go. They could have done this. They could have done that, and it seemed they always picked the wrong one throughout the whole match.
And they didn't really have any moments where like the ring would fill up, and then that one guy kind of build up that one guy by them throwing everyone out. The only
Bray Wyatt kind of, but it was only like 2-3 people in the ring at the same time, right?
Yeah, and Bray Wyatt was in there for over 40 minutes. So that's a positive. I thought they did a good job of that. But obviously it was worse than last year's Rumble because at least with last year's Rumble, the entire crowd held on to the hope that Daniel Bryan was coming out at some point. Now
they knew he wasn't coming back, and they just turned on everyone.
And you know what? I was happy because that's what they deserved.
Yeah, but if you're a Wrestling Observer subscriber and if you listen to Brian Alvarez, he was talking about how Roman Reigns was going to get booed, and I had the same feeling, but never in my mind would I thought that it would turn that badly on him. Never would I thought that they would boo him to the extent that they did.
And not only that, but sure, he got the big pop when he first came out, but booing The Rock.
Fuck, they booed him like crazy, and you can The Rock is kind of a good actor, really, but look at his face there. Nothing he could have done to hide his disappointment on the situation itself.
Well, Kev, we watched it on the network last night, and did you happen to catch the interview that The Rock and Roman Reigns did after the event?
No, but I heard it was really, really bad.
Yeah, and obviously The Rock's part was decent, but obviously they're bringing in The Rock to be Roman Reigns' mouthpiece and to be aligned with Roman Reigns. If you ask me, I think that's fucking embarrassing.
Yeah, well, actually, wait till you see Raw following the Rumble. You'll get... They went down the history road and everything, and it's actually pretty well done. We'll talk about that later, but like I said, before I watched that, I was still pissed. Now I'm a little bit better. Hopefully they react. Last year, they reacted after a couple weeks after the Rumble and changed things. Hopefully this year, who knows? It might have been a swerve and would have been planned all along to be that way. Sometimes we have to remember, they like to play with emotion on the positive side of things, but negative. And sometimes if you want to make that positive really, really a little more sweeter, you put a fucking huge negative before it.
Yeah, I mean... But you would think that the company would learn from its mistakes of last year.
Who knows?
Yeah. I mean,
you would think that, but it's been, 10 years and more than that you would think that? So, yeah.
It's like the exact same thing. And to have Daniel Bryan being thrown out so early, what did you think of that? Do you think they should have kept him until the Final Four? Or
probably would have been worse. But I think they did this probably to try to make the crowd... get the boos out early and try to re-win the crowd with the rest of the match. But why the fuck would they book the Rumble so poorly if they wanted to do that? You could have done put The Rock in the Rumble. You would have done it, but no. The whole thing was just a clusterfuck after Daniel Bryan was kicked out.
And not only that, I got what you're saying about them not trying to make them forget, but book it in a way where the crowd will get back into it. And they did that with Mizdow.
They tried to preview the ebb and flows of the match, and you can't do that, and that's why the Rumble sucked.
Exactly. Like, they did it with Mizdow, but he got thrown out right away. Then they did it with Dolph Ziggler, and he got thrown out within like 5 minutes. So all the people,
the way he was thrown out was so deflating. That's a word that's really popular nowadays, but it was a deflating way. It killed all the momentum you could have had in the last couple of weeks, just with that instant.
Yeah, I just didn't understand. Like, it was a stupid way to book the Rumble, and that's all you can say about it. Obviously, the triple threat match was, phenomenal.
It was one of the best matches I've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, it
was different. The feeling was different, Rob. The way Brock Lesnar took punishment, the way those guys hit each other. Like, Brock Lesnar looked different after he entered that match than before. Look at his face when he comes out of that ring at the end and before. It looks totally different. That guy got messed up during that match, and everyone did a great job. Cena did a great job, used his heelness almost in that match, being the one guy booed all the time, with Rollins getting momentum and proving himself on the big stage, with coming with the Phoenix Splash at the end and then the German suplex by Brock again. Brock, just a fucking beast, man.
Yeah, and I think it was very, very. I think it's very, very awesome the way that they did the thing with Brock about. They made him look like a monster. You know what I mean? Like, they made him look like he was unstoppable because he got hit with a briefcase twice and then just popped up and gave Seth Rollins the F5.
Caught him in midair. Oh, it's awesome.
So, and I remember when we were all sitting around watching last night, I said to a couple of guys that were here, I was like, it all depends. Like, I thought they were going to have the title match last because they started showing Rumble interviews. I'm like, oh, maybe they're going to have the title. The title, yeah, exactly. That would, I don't know, because maybe the crowd probably will have still been pissed, and they wouldn't have, and it wouldn't have gotten the attention it deserves. The thing is, what I thought was going to happen is, I'm like, okay, so I didn't think Rollins was leaving at all with the title, and I thought he was the only guy who wasn't going to win. I said, if Cena wins the match, Reigns will win the Rumble, and if if Brock wins the match,
Bryan wins the Rumble.
Bryan wins the Rumble. I just thought there was no way that Daniel Bryan wasn't working Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania.
Who knows? Might still happen. Who knows?
I don't know if they can go back to that triple threat route again, because last year, at least it somewhat made sense because Daniel Bryan was feuding with the Authority.
Yeah, but in the words of Dean Ambrose, the road to WrestleMania is full of twist and turn.
That's
Who
right.
knows,
It is
just
Kevin.
around the corner.
That is right. Well, we know that Fastlane is just around the corner, and I will go on record that I think this pay-per-view is ridiculous and should not be on at all.
We'll see. Who knows? It might be good now because of the reaction to the Rumble.
It could be. I just think that it's a waste of time. They need to be building up WrestleMania. They don't need this bullshit pay-per-view in the middle where it's like they obviously announced Cena and Rusev at the main event.
Well, at least the championship is not in any danger or in the storyline, so it doesn't alter that feud, and it keeps that program intact. So it could be interesting. Actually, I think it's something different. We're always here claiming and clamoring for something different. We're getting one now, so who knows?
Well, I'm not a fan of it, Kevin. I'll tell you why. What I personally, and this is just my personal opinion, they shouldn't have Cena and Rusev fight at Fastlane because they're going to end up fighting at WrestleMania 2, I think.
Here's an idea, Rob.
Okay.
Fastlane could be a ticket that goes quicker. You know what I mean? Like in an amusement park, as in a briefcase, as in who knows? It might be a match for the briefcase. Daniel Bryan wins that match and goes on to cash in at WrestleMania.
Well, again, I don't think I think Rollins is going to work with Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania. Why give that away a match on a fucking second-rate pay-per-view like Fastlane when these guys should not be touching each other, Rusev and Cena? They should be kept apart. Just like, you know what I mean?
Who knows? Rusev wins and Rusev goes on to a big program at WrestleMania.
Well, I still think Rusev is going to fight Cena at WrestleMania, and it's just so stupid because it's not a fresh match, and you're just going into WrestleMania with a match that we just seen on a February pay-per-view.
True. All right, just go back to the championship match, triple threat from last night.
Yes, sir.
There's a couple of spots that I thought was amazing. If you go on Twitter, look for a Vine about Rollins when he jumped from the third rope. The
Yes.
distance that man traveled in the air is Michael Jordan-esque at the least.
Mm-hmm.
It was fucking awesome. The way he landed that elbow, Brock, that should have
It was
hurt.
very Shawn Michaels like, eh? That leap off the rope into
Ma-
onto the table.
Macho Man, Shawn Michaels like, and that must have hurt like shit. Brock Lesnar really sold it. Brock he took a lot of punishment in that match. He gave a lot. The
Yep.
suplex he gave were like he was disregarding almost the safety of Rollins and Cena, but it fit the storyline and it was really different to see, and it made that match stand out of anything I've seen in recent years in WWE.
Yeah, it was again. But that match was booked perfectly. They made Lesnar was obviously the most over, then Rollins, and Cena, obviously as you expect with a smart wrestling crowd like Philadelphia. But they booked Lesnar the perfect way because, especially with the way that we don't know how Reigns is going to be reacted to with other crowds, right? This could be just a one and done thing, but I don't think it will be because the crowds have been lukewarm on Roman Reigns as it is already. So I think they've booked it perfectly in a way that when Lesnar is in the perfect babyface
Brock
role,
will be
and
the
then
babyface and Reigns will be the heel.
well, then you've opened up a door to a lot of possibilities of Haynes joining up with Reigns. Boom, there's your manager, and then all of a sudden Reigns can do a
There's a good
program with
chance that
Bryan.
happens, Rob. There's a good chance. When you wait till you see that Raw, it's I was talking about interviews and shoot interviews in that Raw.
Yes.
Well, it's Paul Heyman who interviews Roman Reigns.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
And he talks
But
about how he knows his family since he's 17 years old and taking pictures in Madison Square Garden about his father. So he says he knows his family even better than Roman Reigns. It was really interesting promo, Rob.
okay, well, I mean, like I said, I mean, I haven't had a chance to check it out yet, but I will get a chance to hopefully before the next couple of days. But I mean, if you turn Reigns heel, all of a sudden you have a program you can do with Bryan, Cena. You know what I mean? You can feud Ambrose. You can feud with the faces, and it's a fresh. I just don't think Reigns is ready to be the face of the company, and you said that a while ago.
Oh, yeah, I did. And I
Mhm,
still
so
think that's the case. But who knows? They need to have wake-up call once in a while. And usually in the history, they do react. Sometimes it takes them a long time to. But usually they do react positively to a wake-up call like they had when Roman Reigns got booed out of the building last night.
yes, so let's hopefully. I just hope he continues to get booed because I think WWE has to learn that we're just not going to take shit that you're just going to shove down our throats.
And now with WWE booking Lesnar as a fucking monster, do you think? I think it's even more possible now that they re-sign him.
I agree so much more, and especially with Punk going to UFC, I think it's a pride thing that Vince McMahon doesn't want to lose another talent to UFC.
Although they're not competition, but they're never gonna take any other wrestler from my locker room ever again. God damn
Yeah,
it!
you're goddamn right. It's competition. So, you know what I mean? It's definitely competition, and Vince McMahon is too. I don't want to say the word senile, but if Vince
Out
McMahon
of
is too
touch.
out of touch not to see that, yeah, thank
Out
you.
of touch. I'm out of time.
Pretty much, Kevin. If he's too out of touch to see that, then he's a fool. And
And we do pity the fool.
we certainly do. So I don't know if they'll restructure Lesnar's deal to maybe get more dates and pay him more money, but I for one hope Lesnar comes back because every
He
time
could be
Lesnar's in the
he could be the next Cena. If you book him properly for 3 years, he could be that guy. He's
and
got
every
like probably the best resume in the history of professional wrestling.
and ever since he's come back, with the exception of the Undertaker match at WrestleMania 30, which wasn't horrible but it wasn't great, name a match that Brock Lesnar has been in that hasn't been good since he's come back. All of them have been good matches.
Well, it depends in which perspective you put yourself. If I'm the body of the guy fighting him, I might not have been that good. But for us, the listeners, the fans, the guy who watches it, we love it. Fuck.
Yeah, of course. I mean, like I said, the Undertaker match wasn't great.
Well,
But
there's a lot of circumstance. The fact that he got knocked early on in that match, and it's different. He didn't have the type of worker. Undertaker nowadays, it wasn't like the Undertaker 10 years ago. Not the same type of worker.
Yeah.
And he doesn't get the same type of Like Rollins is so fresh with everyone now that that match had a different vibe. You take anybody out of that match and it's different. It was a unique combination, and that match will be remembered for a long time because it's like one guy in his prime, Brock Lesnar, one guy at the end, and one guy on the upcoming. It's like once in a lifetime almost. If you think about it, 10 years from now, we'll think it's a once in a lifetime.
Yeah, of course we will, and it's going to be one of those match like last night after the Royal Rumble. I kind of needed to be cheered up, so I watched the Michaels Angle match from WrestleMania 22. No, yeah, was it WrestleMania? Yeah, it was WrestleMania 21. Sorry. So yeah, and then I watched and then I'm going to watch all three of the Rock Austin WrestleMania matches. So I watched the one for WrestleMania 15 last night as well. But I mean, in about 10 years, it's going to be one of those fuck 10 years. By the end of whenever, it's going to be one of those matches where you're going to want to go back and watch it every now and then. It's one of those matches that has replay value.
Yeah, it does, and for a long time, it will be one of the contenders for Match of the Year, even though we're only at the end of January.
Sure, that's right, and it's bizarre that we're talking about it already.
Well, it's that kind of match, and we have to etch it in our mind that it is, so we remember it when we vote in 10 months from now.
That's 100% right. So we'll have to come back and replay this one in our minds. Did you hear about the number one trend on Twitter last night, Kevin, after the Royal Rumble?
Hashtag canceled WWE Network.
Yeah, yep, that was it. What do you think of that?
Well, to be honest, between you and me, if we know wrestling fans like we do, they're not going to cancel the WWE Network.
Well, of course, I complained. I didn't. I'll be straight up. I did cancel my subscription.
Fuck no, we didn't. Come on.
You know what I mean?
Come on, let's be realistic here. If you know wrestling fans, the last thing they'll do is cut off their pusher of wrestling.
And that's the problem with us. We're like junkies. Like we complain that we want to get clean, but we can never do it. You know what I mean?
The wrestling fan described in a nutshell. If the mindset of a wrestling fan, it's a junkie one. And if you're not giving what I want, it's a junkie Mitch with a spoiled brat child. You don't give me what I want, I fucking boo you. But don't fucking go away. I need you.
Yeah, I still love you. Yeah, it's weird.
Here, you take this. But don't you go away. I do love you.
Yes, it's the weirdest thing.
But I wouldn't change it for the world. I would change some things, but I wouldn't change anything for another world.
It's funny when remember obviously at the end when Rusev was still in it and the crowd was chanting "We want Rusev."
Yeah, I thought it was hilarious.
I thought I could not make it out at first, and I thought they were chanting "We want Russo."
No, you don't. No, you don't.
And then there was one more chant that I couldn't make up just before The Rock came in.
The only thing I would like Russo for, Rob, would be a Lana on a pole match.
Yeah, or just Lana on a pole. We don't even need to have the match part.
Oh, you went there.
That's right. I damn well did, and I'll go there again. Twice on Sundays, I'll go there too. So,
but yeah, it's gonna be. Why would you like Russo back? Just as you were saying.
Why would I like Vince Russo back? Because I like Vince Russo.
Yeah.
I think sure he's got some lane brain ideas, but I think if you filter him in the proper way, Vince Russo knows how to tell a story and he knows how to write a wrestling. And he's a wrestling mind. The guy's a legit fan. You know what I mean? It's not one of these guys that they hired out of Yale or Harvard who with a journalism degree or a creative writing degree and expect them to relate to you and I or the typical other wrestling fans.
All right. If you're the creative brass of the WWE, where do you go with two guys I'm going to name you, Rob, from now on until WrestleMania?
Okay.
Where do you go with Dean Ambrose?
That is a tough one. I guess because he's worked Bray Wyatt. He's worked. Oh, geez, I don't know what you do with Ambrose. Do you go back? No, he can't go back with Rollins because Rollins is. Dean Ambrose is kind of stuck in the mud. He's kind of stagnant right now. Like, what else can you really do with him? Who can you pair him up with?
That's a very good question. You can pair him up with. I have no fucking idea. I don't know. Something needs to happen. There's like 3-4 guys that are up in the air. That a lot of things can happen. I don't know what you do with Ziggler, with Bryan, with Ambrose, with Bray Wyatt. All those 4 or 5 guys. Something needs to happen. And it's probably going to be what is the consistency of the road to WrestleMania.
Well, I think Wyatt's going to fight The Undertaker. I think that's pretty much happening.
Yeah, but I'm wondering if The Undertaker if his presence, because of the fact that he lost last year, if it's not going to be tainted, if it's not going to be that one too many. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. Not the match itself,
Yeah.
but just will Bray Wyatt get the right type of rub facing the Undertaker after the Undertaker streak has been broken?
I don't think you can get a wrong kind of rub from fighting the Undertaker WrestleMania. I think it's only
True.
a good thing because Undertaker only wants to work with certain people. So if he works with Bray Wyatt, I think it'll be very, very interesting. And it's
This is the one thing, Rob. I think you need to do if you're putting the two together. You'll need to do a bigger build than you did in the last couple of years for Taker's match because of the fact that the streak is not there, so it cannot be the talking point of the build of the match. It needs to be something different. And if you want to do the whole two mysterious kind of characters together, you need a little longer build for that, right?
I agree because you can have Bray Wyatt kind of say how he's the most like tortured soul in WWE history or something, something along those effects. Speaking of like weird fucking people, the Boogeyman.
Nice.
I thought, look, when Bully
For a
Ray came out,
54-year-old, you did a pretty good bump off the third rope.
who's that?
Boogeyman is 54.
No.
Yeah.
He's 54
Yeah.
years old?
Yeah.
Holy shit, I had no idea.
Yeah.
When Bully or Bubba, whatever you want to call him, came
Yeah,
out,
the
I was
way he
excited,
looked,
like,
he didn't look like a Bully Ray. He looked like a Bubba Ray. He was fat and with glasses.
and I really thought they could. I'm like, here's a guy that WWE could use. You know what I mean?
Who knows? It might. I heard it was a one-shot deal, but who knows? It might change now. Who knows? Who knows?
Well, Bully Ray can still go, and
He's
his
better
character
than he was back then, Rob.
100%. His character development in TNA as a Bully Ray character, you can cross that over to WWE, and boom, there's a guy that Dean Ambrose works with. How cool would that be?
You call him Bubba Ray, but you bring it over as a regular program, and you make him the way he was in TNA without ever mentioning it, and or do a quick transition of the character in like a week, and eventually just slowly like 2-3 weeks, and eventually he'll be fine. But that's the thing, you brought him back as Bubba Ray, and the rumblings are that it was a one-shot deal to get just that Philly crowd into the Rumble. And it worked, except for the truth was Devon. That was
well, I guess he was this is the only black guy that we have in the ring, so we'll just pretend it's Devon.
They take
Speaking
the
of black
guy, like, okay, Booker T can't be there. He's announcing truth, killing. Come over here. You want to do a rap? Come over here. That was basically what it was.
It's speaking of black guys, when do you think the New Day experiment is over? Because it's embarrassing now for these guys. I feel bad for these guys in a way.
Turn him heel. Just turn him heel and it works. You don't change a thing, but you just have him come out and say how they're better than everybody else because of the fact that they sing gospel and they can dance and they can do something with this. They come out and they do the sacrilegious thing that they're always in church on Sundays, and that makes them better than other people. And you do that in front of a crowd like Philly, they'll get over as heels really quickly.
How much they were booed out of the building last night, especially in that first match with Cesaro and Tyson Kidd.
You know that match was awesome, though.
Oh, yeah, of course. Why was that match not on the pay-per-view?
Because it would take the shine away from the other from another match or something.
Do we need the fucking Diva tag team match? Who gives a shit? That match should have been on the pay-per-view.
Me always like some Page on my TV, Rob.
Okay, fair enough, but I mean, it's just,
I can deal with the fact that they always put over the Bella Twins because who they're married to or who they are dating, or like they say on the podcast or even on the show, who politically, they said it on the show, politically they are well placed. So because of that, the Bellas are always over. But who knows? Natty and Paige have something good going on. And I think both Natty and Paige, Kid and Cesaro, are making chicken salad out of chicken shit right now.
Yeah, they certainly are, and I hope that they get a good run, Cesaro and
Cesaro had one of the biggest pop in the Rumble.
Yeah, of course he did. And I thought for a minute, maybe he might win. I don't know why. I thought maybe they'll really throw us a curveball and maybe he'll win.
I think that was the plan. I had the same thought for Ambrose, for Cesaro, and for Ziggler. They have a shot now. Brian's out. They have to do it. The crowd's booing. They have to change it on the go or something.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I guess I don't know. Maybe the snowstorm to happen in Hartford is maybe that was the best thing that could have happened to WWE tonight. Let the
Mother
bullshit
Nature
blow
is
over.
a wrestling fan, and it was her way to shit on the product.
Yeah.
Like, who are they? In the what area are they in the upcoming days? Let's just dump. Well, I was gonna say a shitload. If you're looking at, it's not that bad, but it could have been a lot more worse than it was. So let's just dump it all in that area and let's fuck with them and let's see what they make out of it. And WWE always been good when they had to turn on a dime to fix shit. And they had to do that tonight. Yes, there was bumps along the way. Some people messed up their word, talking about Renee Young, or some things weren't as nice as because it was thrown at the last minute, audio quality wise, or something you'll see when you watch Raw. But fuck, it seems legit for once in a while, and it seemed almost real in that show.
Yes.
And we'll leave the listener with this because they'll probably going to be watching either already watched Raw or we're going to watch in the next couple of days. The vibe of that show had made me change my mind. I still got 15 minutes to watch, but who knows? It might be the treatment that the doctor subscribed.
Well, I guess we'll have to see, Dr. Kevin, and we'll have to see if this is what cures my ails, so to speak.
Hopefully it does. Let's just do a one predict. Like I asked you, what would you do with Dean Ambrose? The other thing I wanted to ask you was Daniel Bryan. What do you do with Daniel Bryan?
And I think Daniel Bryan. I think he goes to. I think he goes to.
Please don't say Sheamus.
No, he's not going to go Sheamus. Ooh, Sheamus might be Dean Ambrose though. If they bring Sheamus back, I think Sheamus can come back as a heel, maybe. But anyways, Daniel Bryan, I think he goes out with Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. They work, and that'll be a show stealer.
Yeah, Rollins is one of the best I've seen. That he just blew me away last night. We're gonna leave the listener with this. He just blew me last night watching him. Different type of move. His reaction all across the match when it was time to jump in. You know when Cena comes in at 2 to jump in? You know when Cena's on the floor outside and he asks you to come back in the ring quickly at the 9 count before a count out or something? It seems so fake because he waits so long and at the last minute he does a sprint. It just seems fake, but the way Rollins controls his body, handles himself in the ring, everything looks more legit and it's believable.
Mm-hmm. I just hope Dean Ambrose gets... I've also read reports that at house shows Dean Ambrose is getting bigger pops than John Cena.
I wouldn't be surprised. They pushed him a little bit, and you always get a delay with different crowds because the time it gets for every fan to see somebody they would like on TV can take months because they always make once a year in almost every city, but that's it. So. Yep. Example, you're a fan of Dean Ambrose because of this summer, his run he had. Mm-hmm. And the first time you really had the opportunity to cheer him is when you get to your town. Who knows, it might be this weekend, but you still like to cheer for the guy, so you're going to cheer. So there's always a delay in the reaction of crowds between when they start to push a guy and the real reaction, and it's going to stay that way for a little while, and they need to take advantage of that.
Of course they do, and hopefully they do, and maybe we're just kind of being a little bit rough on WWE, and maybe we'll just see where they're going. You know, maybe we'll just give them the benefit of the doubt, and that's all we can really do as wrestling fans. Again, because I'm not going to stop watching the product. I'll bitch and complain about.
They have a couple of weeks before we really get pissed and just scream louder. Yeah. That's all they have.
Yeah, 100%.
All right, Rob, what are you looking forward to? And there's going to be a live SmackDown on Thursday, so probably wait till Thursday. We'll take a look at that show and come back to do a recap of that show because I think the plans will change for the next couple of days for WWE.
Might not be a bad idea, Kevin. So yeah, we'll definitely have to. We'll do a SmackDown review, and you and I have never done a SmackDown show review. So
I think nobody in the history of the world did ever a SmackDown review.
No, maybe back when it first started.
I'm just exaggerating, but that's what it is.
Yeah, I guess I shouldn't take that so literal, but yeah, exactly. Because I think it'll be a bigger show. So I guess we'll have to see. And yeah, I'm just looking forward to seeing what they do and where we're going. So
and
on the road to WrestleMania.
Yes, we are 62 days, and by the time you listen to this, probably 61 days left until WrestleMania. And until then, take that bump. We thank you for listening to Down the Hour Wrestling Podcast with Robbie Mack and Kevin Laramie on Stitcher Radio. Stitcher Radio, the podcast application taken to the level of perfection. Subscribe to the show on Stitcher Radio. Listen to all the Off the Woodwork Studios family shows, but especially Down the Hour Wrestling Podcast. And that, my friends, is just perfect.